Hi. Sorry about the timing of this video whenever it comes out. I'm trying my best. Things just, yeah, I can't promise an entirely stable upload schedule while I'm at university and still trying to get things together. But yeah, I'm gonna try. But I just watched the first episode of Genlock, and it was first of all I'm gonna say, like, I don't know if I'm gonna be doing this for how many episodes I can do this for, because for the moment anyway, every episode after the pilot seems to be first members only, which is sad. It's understandable though. I mean, like, Rooster Teeth are an independent company and they spend a lot of money on this show, and you can tell when you're watching it. They very much made use of the budget, and I think they used it effectively. But feels bad because I've seen the first episode and I want to watch the entire thing. I will find other things to do videos on later. Don't worry. I've got plenty of. I've got things planned that I can talk about, whether it be episodes of shows like this or just like song analysis, or I don't know. Maybe I'll even do like a theory video, or just sort of try and condense my thoughts on a subject for some fandom I like. I'm in a few fandoms, but yeah. So if you're worried, like, oh, RWBY's over, no more videos, and like, don't worry. I plan on making more. I don't always know what I'm doing until I'm doing it. Such is life. But yeah, back to the actual episode of the actual show I'm talking about now. I think pretty much like 2 to 3 minutes in of the show, of like the episode, I decided that I was going to have pretty good feelings about the episode, to be honest. It was just everything about the aesthetic, the music, that even like yeah, like the setting, the music, the lighting, even the characters, the character interactions. I just felt quite comfortable. Now, I don't mean in a sort of a boring way. I mean sort of like this show fits the kind of thing that I think that I want to watch. It can be a bit difficult because, like, the whole sort of fantasy sci-fi thing. Like, there are some which are so heavily reliant on specific tropes and cliches that it can all feel samey, and then there are some which are so different and unique that they stretch the boundaries of the genre to the point where you don't know what to expect. And it can be difficult to try and find something in that sort of genre thing, because like fantasy, sci-fi and that's stuff where like anything can happen, pretty much. That's why I like it, you know, like endless possibilities for storytelling. But this very much felt, yeah, it felt like it was that good sort of in between, where like things with like people in mechs fighting like the bad guys, you know, whether they be like robots or monsters or whatever. A team of them, that's been done before, multiple times. But the way this was done, it definitely sticks in my mind. It does feel different. Like, I don't know, like people saying like, oh, the things remind me of like Pacific Rim and everything like that, but like this had such a specific sort of aesthetic, and the world felt quite realistic for what it was, and I just really appreciate the attitude of to like what the premise was going in. I just, yeah, and speaking of the sort of mech suits and the technology, I really love the designs for them, because the sort of good guys, I'm saying in quotation marks now, because any sort of like government, military or whatever agency, can't never just trust them 100%. Even if it turns out the good guys are just the good guys in the end and there's no twist like there often is, I don't trust like that. But their technology, I really like it because it felt like the technology that exists now was a step towards getting there. It just felt quite, it felt like a natural progression of in like, I can't remember when this is set in like, I don't know, like 60 to 70 years in the future, I think that's when it's set. I can't remember the specific day on the beginning sequence, but 60 to 70 years or so in the future. Maybe there will be some things like that. Maybe not all the technology in the show, but some. Like the sort of hovercrafts felt like very much based on modern jets. All the car. I'm calling them cars because they are pretty much cars. They're just very close to it. Robotic arms, like the one in the kitchen, even felt very much like robotic arms today, apart from a lot less clumsy, which makes sense. Just yeah, even like the TV sort of stuff on the eyes and the video games things felt quite sort of real and natural to me. A video game, I said in my reaction, it reminds me like aesthetic wise of like Just Dance, an actual video game, so it looks very video gamey in the video game. But I also like how the sort of screens are sort of like projected onto something, or they seem to go on front, because I don't know, like you get sometimes in sci-fi where it will just be like, oh, they have a chip in their eye, so they just see it, and there's nothing in front of them, and it's like, well, I don't think that's quite how science works. I mean, if they did it for the show, I wouldn't mind, but it's like, I don't know, maybe like a pet peeve of mine. I just like the idea that they managed to get like develop like technology and like the housing and that, so things like the screens can just be in anywhere, any size, and like an actual TV. And the fact that they can like see sort of what she's doing as she's doing it, like she's playing a video game and it's on TV in the background, like now, it's nice. Pretty much like all of the technology felt like very natural, normal things, apart from the good old sci-fi tropes. And when I say tropes, I mean like tropes are the building blocks of any story in any format. So yeah, I'm not saying cliches, I'm saying tropes, because cliches have negative connotations a lot of the time, where tropes are just there. Just thought I'd clear that up, because I think I say it a fair amount in these. But the tropes of like, oh, they've been like a hologram this entire time. That's a good one. They got me because I just wasn't thinking. And I've never complained about the mech suits and like these mech monstery things. I like that the bad guys, as we know of so far, I mean, they were trying to kill refugees, so they probably are at least a bit bad, I would say. Even if there's like corruption in like the good guys' side, I was gonna say the bad guys' side, they're probably quite bad if they're killing refugees. I'm gonna call them the bad guys without quotation marks now, because that's bad. But I like the contrast. I like sort of like how their technology is like very monstery, and it's not based on like real stuff as much. Because like they sort of had like insectoid based mechs, and I love that. I love a good monster design. And even if like it's technology and it's not like a monster, it's sort of functionally you could argue it's the same premise. You know, whether it's like a fantasy world and someone's riding a war elephant, or someone's in a giant robot spider shooting people. Functionally, it's the same sort of thing. But I really appreciate the designs for those as well. Pretty much all the technology in this I was impressed by. Even some stuff which seemed normal, like the phones. That guy held up the phone with the symbol on, which definitely won't become even more relevant later. It was it felt very right. I like the character designs as well. I like it. The protagonist is sort of highlighted in blue. He's very protagonistic, but I still like his design a lot. I like all the designs. I have like big respect to shows, like animated shows, who don't go down like the typical anime protagonist sort of design, where they have to have like really strange like hair or like eyes or anything that have to be special. Like like if you're watching this, you've probably seen like a show where like the protagonist is like this edgy guy with like, I don't know, purple spiky hair or something. And like everyone else has like black hair, and it's like, oh, who's going to be the main character? It's going to be you. And you can point out like other side characters that are going to be important later, because their designs are like so much like colour and wow in your face compared to all these background characters that no one paid attention to the designs for. With this, the character designs, they definitely know the animation engine they're using and the natural style for that, which is very solid and kind of blocky in a way. But they very much make it work to create quite realistic designs. Like pretty much everyone, there's a whole range of people, like different different gender presentation, different race, different styles of clothing, some different body types from what little I saw amongst all the like destruction and the fighting and stuff going on. You know, like there was other things going on, so I couldn't quite pause and look at all the individual character designs, but what I did see I was very impressed by, because everyone just felt like a normal looking person. The only exception, like, being of course the protagonist, but like he has some blue in his hair, like that's yeah, just has some blue streaks, that's fine. Like I have a blue streak, I don't have any anime powers, you know. I don't have a mecha or anything. Unless I get that when I'm older. I don't know what anime protagonist rules are, I've only watched a few. But point is, I was very impressed by the show aesthetically in general, I would say. Like all of the backgrounds and like the sort of the backgrounds are beautiful, the designs are very functional, but they don't feel missing in any character. They feel functional in a way, as in like they feel realistic to that world. They managed to include quite a bit of colour, despite a lot of the things being naturally sort of grey. They didn't fall into that sort of superhero film trend where, despite there being all of these things which could be bright colours, everything is like a washed out sort of grey and you can't see what's going on and it's murky. This, where they had colour, they used colour effectively, which is good, because sometimes you do need the sort of like washed out colours and the greys, and that's important, but the point is knowing when to use what. That's crucial. Like the cockpit of a hovercraft is going to have to like look different to the inside of that military base, to the city at that sort of what time was it? It wasn't daybreak, was it? It was later, like sundown. You had all those golds in the sky. Like the point is, it's just knowing how to use colour and lighting effectively, because not only does it make things eye-catching, so you want to look at it, it also makes things clear, so you can see where different things are, and also you just get like context in other ways as well, like time of day, or what different things are made of, or just to place importance on different things, you know? Overall, it's just one of those things that a lot of people don't think about sometimes when making things, but they did a really good job there. That and the camera angles. There was a lot of action, but most of it was pretty clear and easy to follow and felt very dynamic. Even some cases where characters were staying still, it didn't feel like they were just standing around. If they always had a reason to be doing it, which is good. Like, people have been a bit like, there's been some criticisms about Rooster Teeth fight scenes and action scenes sort of animation since Volume 5 of RWBY, and I think it's clear that whoever's making these shows, they're thinking about that a lot, because there's been improvement in more than one show, sort of thing, and it's very nice to see everything. It felt quite immersive, and that's the thing. Camera angles. People don't think about camera angles, but it really does help in so many ways. But yeah, like, the show is beautiful, and I love the concept. I do really like the characters. I can't remember off the names off the top of my head, which like feels bad. But I don't know. It can be difficult to get invested in characters instantly. It takes work to just introduce a character and have people go, "Wow, I like them," because you can get like the friendliest, nicest character, nicest person, like, in the world, and introduce them, and people just won't care. It's difficult to try and get people invested straight away, but I was invested quite quickly. Like, I knew the protagonist wasn't, like, yeah, spoiler alert for this episode that I've watched and have been talking about, so there's going to be spoilers, but yeah. So when, like, the protagonist dies, like, you know that he's not going to die. It's probably like the first show I've watched where you see the black character and he's not the one to die first. But yeah, like, you know he's not gonna die first, because if you've watched any TV show before, you don't just kill your protagonist straight away. it's very rare for people to do that. But I still felt there was just this moment where I like couldn't say anything because it was quite a tense scene, and they carried that emotion off really well. You just see like the partner's art, you just see the look on the partner's face, and it's a rough moment, and it's foreshadowed earlier on in the episode, which is like great work. But I managed to capture that emotion. It was very tense. Had the good music and the good sound design, which is also very important. Animation is tricky, kids. There are a lot of components, and lots of them don't even involve actual animation. But yeah, it's just they just made all the characters likable and relatable, which is difficult because like I am not a military person in a relationship, putting myself on the line and having this sort of family I need to protect and go look after and stuff like that. Like, you know, me and the protagonists have like a fair few much more differences than similarities, but I still managed to sort of relate to them, and it was sad when bad things happened to them. So that's good. They did their job well. Pretty much most of the characters that you know are gonna be front and center are pretty likable, and for some of them it's not even due to their voice, if that makes sense. Like I couldn't identify all of the famous voices in the show just by hearing them. My voice recognition is very 50-50, but like some characters it was purely based on the characters and no biases based on the voice actor, and I liked them. And then there are the ones where I did know the voice actors of, and I did like them, but they did do a good job. So there we go. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. We've got some different personalities going. It's gonna be tense with the way things started out. Like it's been 4 years, and then it's like, oh yeah, your partner that you thought was dead and mourned. Well, it turns out we sort of brought him back as this mech suit pilot, Power Ranger type dude. He's gonna fight with these other rainbow robots against the forces of evil. Sorry to tell you this now, in public, only after you've seen him and have been made aware of his existence. She's gonna be having some emotions. It's gonna be a rough time for her. It's a very interesting premise, though, that they've done it that way, because like they're bringing someone back with technology sort of trope, as that's been done before, but this specific way I don't think I've seen before. The way that they announced it to her and stuff, and how she's expected to react and things like that. I don't think I've seen that, so that's gonna be a fun time to watch if I ever manage to watch the rest of this series. Yeah, I'm trying to think of other things. I don't know, I just liked it. It's had a fun time. They introduced plot threads well to follow up on without giving too much away. They had a lot of action. They showed off their animation budget. They introduced characters, made them likable, and then when bad things happened to them, it felt bad. I can't think of much else to say, to be honest. I just really enjoyed this episode. I went in blind. I only watched like the trailers that have been in the that have been on the RWBY episodes, and that mini teaser trailer they released like around the same time as Nomad of Nowhere, and that's all I've seen. I hadn't looked up concept art. I hadn't gone on those videos that have like exclusive things or first clips or whatever. I hadn't looked at any of those because I wanted to go in fairly blind, like I did with Nomad of Nowhere, because that ended up being like the optimum for me, and I think it worked out pretty well for this. I hadn't seen enough where I could start predicting everything, but from what I did know, from what I was told, because I did hear about different like voice actors and stuff like that, it was enough to go for me to go, oh, maybe I'll watch that. And yeah, I'm glad I did do that. It was a very fun first episode. Well, it wasn't like fun. There was some moments of humour. There's some moments of emotion too. There's a fair bit of stuff there. But what they did have, it was compelling, I suppose. You just want to watch more, and that's the thing. That's like the key thing. If you watch an episode, if you're watching an episode and you're like, I don't know if I want to make it to the end of this episode, that's like the biggest sort of failure, to be honest, because whether something's really bad or really good, it has to hold your attention, and this definitely did. And now I'm gonna have to suffer because I don't have a first account, so I won't be able to just I won't be able to watch the entire series. I don't know. From this one episode I've seen, Genlock it looks very promising, and I would recommend. Have you seen the first episode? What did you think of it? Are you gonna watch it? Are you not? Are you in the same situation with me when you have a free account and not a first one, and you can't watch the rest of it and you feel bad? I don't know. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope if you watched the episode that you enjoyed too, because, well, I thought it was great, to be honest. I feel like Rooster Teeth are really like making a name for themselves. Like, RWBY got the money and they're spending that money, and I think they're probably utilising it very well. You know, like, compare Volume 1 of RWBY to Episode 1 of Genlock, and you can see that they've used their budget. But yeah, anyway, I hope you enjoyed. Have a lovely day, night, whatever time it is.